Hey, good morning, everybody. If I could just get a quick audio and video check from one of our participants, then I will move on. Okay, perfect. So today we are going to do a review of Google Meet and some of its functions, how to act, and the various ways to access it. Also going to look into some screen capture functions. So if you, the primary focus of today will be Google Meet and Loom as screen capture. If you missed out on the Flipgrid demonstration this morning, that video recording will be available in the Tech for Teachers Google Classroom. I highly recommend that you look into Flipgrid, especially for screen capture and tutorials and demonstrations, and watch that video for the various other ways that you can implement that in your classroom, not only from a teacher perspective, but also as a student creation and a way to display mastery and show learning gains as well. Okay, so once again, I apologize for the construction. It seems as if whenever we are not recording, they are not working, but as soon as we start the video recording, they start again. But let's take a look. So I know that the majority of our teachers are familiar with Google Meet. But there have been some updates available, and there have been some changes inside of our Google Admin Console, which is recently made, kind of help with just the functionalities of it and the control of it from a teacher perspective. So first, I'm going to go into how you can create and join Google Meets. So there are various different options. So first, you can go to meet.google.com, or you can access Google Meet from the Waffle or Google Apps Grid, and then select the Meet icon, which will open up a new tab and take you to this site. And here you can see that you can join or start a meeting. So you have a join code, and it's been shared with you, and you can click that and type in. Or you can just go ahead and start your own. So here you see that I'm beginning to start my meet. I can allow notifications, I can enter with my mic on or off, video on or off, and then I can join. Now if you start a meet like this, before you share it out, it will give you a pop-up that will allow you to copy the joining information, and then you can share that information out in your email if you like, or you can choose the Add People icon where you can begin to select people that you want to add for this video conference. Hey Parker, thanks for joining.
Hey.
All right, so here we have the chat feature, which of course allows us to chat and ask questions. If you look at the people icon, if you created the meeting, then you have the options to mute and pin the screen, and you can remove people from your meeting. So you can mute and unmute people. This pin icon is really nice. If you want to highlight a speaker, and you can do that, unmute them. So that is how you moderate the participants in your Google Meet. You can also turn on captions, so that way whenever someone speaks and is there, and those captions will be available. Okay, so whenever Google Meet first came out, there was a layout issue and a complaint, more or less, and there was a big kind of back and forth between Zoom and Google Meet, and Zoom can do this and Google Meet can't do that. So one of the resolutions that we did was we force installed this grid view layout. This grid view is no longer really needed at this point. So that force installation will be leaving very shortly, because now what you can do is whenever you click on the More Actions icon at the bottom right, you can look here, it says Change Layout. You can click on that. The default is auto, but you can select Sidebar, which puts all your participants to the right. You can change layout, and this is your grid view icon that would put all of your students or participants into that tiled kind of dim view so that you can see everyone at once. So there's no need for this extension to be enabled any longer. Okay, you can also go full screen. You can look into additional settings where you can change your audio and your mic. And then you can also do the presentation mode. So if I want to do a presentation mode, I can do entire screen. So that way if I have multiple tabs that I want to demonstrate, then I'm going to select the entire screen, so that way I don't have to stop sharing and then reshare every single time I jump between tabs. You can do a window, so if you have like a dual screen monitor, or if you're doing an extended presentation on a presentational device, then you can select which window you would like to utilize, or a Chrome tab. If you want to stay on a specific tab, then it says here that best for video and animation. So if you want that video to be as clear as possible, then it would be best for you to have a separate tab open for that video, and then select that Chrome tab to display for the presentation of that video during your Google Meet presentation. Okay. All right, so also during the Google Meet, you can utilize Google Meet for screen capture and recording. So if I want to do, even if it's just by myself, or if I want to capture a lesson that I'm currently teaching, then if you click on the More Actions, you do have the option to record that meeting. So one of the recent changes that we made is that we eliminated the option for students to have this capability. So as of yesterday, teachers and staff are the only people with the capability to record meetings. So that way, if you are in a Google Meet with students, then the teacher is the only person that has the capability to record. The great thing about recording the meeting, I'm going to go ahead and record this meeting. It doesn't ask for consent of the participants. It gives you a notification that the recording will start soon, and then you know that you are being recorded with the record icon in the top left part of your screen. So this is being recorded, so now I can go ahead and present my screen. I can present my entire screen, selected, click share, and I can go into my tab, start my lesson. I'm recording it. It's going through my demonstration, whatever it may be, that I want to record and share with my students. And when I'm finished with that, all I have to do is click Stop Presenting, click on More Options. I can stop my recording. notice it says the recording will be saved in Teacher Tech's Google Drive. So these recordings that you create in Google Meet are automatically saved in your Drive. So you can copy and paste and share that link in your Google Classroom, make those accessible on Google Slides, by inserting video in Google Slides, and share those to other teachers for them to use as well. So it's a very useful tool. There's no moving around or downloading MP4s or anything of that nature. Okay.
We have a question on here.
So I have a question.
When I mute a student, they can unmute themselves. Is there any way to take that option off?
Unfortunately, there is no way to permanently mute a participant. You can mute students or other participants, but you cannot permanently mute them. They will always have the ability to unmute themselves.
And then the other one, which is just about what you talked about, Google Drive. Are you able to create a specific folder for the recordings to save to?
The Google Meet actually creates, I believe it does create the folder for you. So let's take a look. Let's see. And it may not be processed yet, so it does take time for these kinds of recordings to populate. And you do get an email notification when it is completed.
I can look real quick because the easy one.
So we'll check back with that near the end of this lesson to see where that video has saved.
There's a folder in your drive called Meet Recordings.
Okay, that's what I thought. So whenever you do your first Meet recording, it does create its own folder in your Google Drive, and it is called Meet Recordings. So you would open that up, and it automatically saves all of your Meet recordings in that folder in your Google Drive. All right. So this works really well too if you incorporate Google Meet as a screen capture tool in the recording feature, and then you also screen share with a Google Jamboard, for example, for the interactive whiteboard feature. All right, so let's look at another way to create a Google Meet.
Before you go on,
Yep.
one more. Is there a way to see students on the screen share slide, or do you have to keep flipping back and forth between tabs?
There is not a way. So if I do the presentation mode and I do the entire screen, and I share.
Gotta click on it.
You'll notice that whenever I do switch outside of the actual Meet link, that I do lose that presentation. So I can always drag it out to the side
Split screen.
and then drag it all the way over. You see I get a transparent overlay. And I can drag this one over to the other half, I get a transparent overlay. So now I have a split screen of what that is, and I can see my participants here on this side, and I have this here, but that's going to be part of your presentation if you select your entire screen. So let's say I want to stop presenting, I want to present now, and I just want to do a Chrome tab. Well, if I select that split screen tab that I shared, then that is going to be the one that I can see make visible. So now I have the tab that is displaying instead of my full screen, and then I can also continue to monitor my students on the other side of the screen.
Or 2 devices.
Either that or you have 2 devices or 2 monitors. All right, so I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna look at calendar. So inside the calendar, you can also create your Google Meet video conferencing. So you select on the date and time that you want to schedule your meeting. You can set up repeating meetings. So if you want to make like virtual office hours for your students, you can do that. You can just schedule that to be repeating every day. I'll do that as the example. So here you have add Google Meet video conferencing. So it automatically creates that Google Meet for you. You can add descriptions, and put in attachments. So if you want to add any kind of resources that you want to have available for your students, then you can do that. Whenever you click on the More Options button, you notice that you can begin to add guests here. And if I select on my Google Classroom name, well, I've automatically added all of the participants, all of the students in my Google Classroom to this event. So now, when I click Save, it's going to email this link with the join information to every student I have in this Google Classroom. So that's how you get to Google Meet from your calendar. And you can also access Google Meet from your email. So this was a recent update for Gmail. If you haven't noticed that one already, it has a Meet section here, so you can start meetings and join meetings directly from your Gmail. Start a meeting, it takes you directly into meet.google.com, creates this for you, and it gives you the same options of code, the dial-in features, pin number, and then just join in. And then you can add participants like I showed you in the first part. So those are the 3 ways that you can start and join into Google Meet. And you can use the record feature for screen capture purposes and lesson capture as well. So now we're going to jump over to Loom.
Did you talk about, you can also create one for the classroom.
Oh yeah, and don't forget the Google Classroom Google Meet. Thank you, Sheldon. I almost bypassed that. So, your Classroom Google Meet is static. Take a look in your classroom. You have a Meet link up top here. That Meet link will always be the same. But the teacher does have to start the meeting before the students can join. If you do not see this Meet link, you need to go to your settings. You'll notice right here it says Meet, visible to students. Make sure you click on the slide bar and activate that Meet link so that it is visible on the homepage of your classroom. So so let's take a look at Loom. Loom is a screen capture tool. It's free to use. So I'm going to sign in. Sign in to Google. Select the account I want to use. So as a verified teacher or student, we've applied a 100% discount to your Loom Pro subscription. That is exciting news. Yes.
For the next month.
Right. All right, so if you notice, we have a folder here that has how to use Loom. So if you need additional assistance, this folder is here for you, and it gives you not only demonstrations, but ideas. So taking your homework assignments to the next level, student presentations for practice, creativity, and workplace skills, and other various topics and ideas that you can utilize Loom for time saving, for communication, enhanced collaboration, and all of these are there for you in the folder, how to use Loom. So you can get notifications instantly when someone you know watches or replies to your video. So if you notice, I created a sample video already, and so that video, as any other video that I create, will always be here on my landing page in Loom under my videos. So if I wanted to create a new video, I could do so from Loom. I could also organize however many different folders I would like to create. So if I wanted to do tutorials, I could have a folder for tutorials. If I wanted to do lessons or live lessons, then I could have a folder for live lessons, etc. I could also do public folders and then share that public folder out with my classroom or whomever I would want to have access to that to view.
I want to know how to access Loom and extensions, because I don't see it.
Okay. So Loom does have an extension. If you notice up here, I have the Loom extension. It's called Loom for Chrome. So in order to get Loom as an extension, which is very helpful because whatever tab you're on or resource that you're viewing inside of Google Chrome, you can go ahead and start your Loom recording if you have this extension installed. So all Chrome extensions are from the Chrome Web Store. And if you just Google Chrome Web Store, it will be the very first link that appears. You can click Chrome Web Store, you can search for Loom, and then Loom for Chrome is the extension that you want to add to Chrome. When you do that, it will come up here to your extension bar. If you don't see it up here and you want to make it accessible in this bar and visible for easy access, then you have this extension puzzle icon that you can click. And if you notice, you have these little thumbtacks next to it where you can select for these extensions to be part of your URL bar or not. So you can hide and show those based on this thumbtack here. So you can pin those. So let's take a look, let's do a new video.
Before you go on. While it records your desktop, does it record your audio for instruction?
I'm sorry?
As it's recording your screen capture, is it also recording the audio?
Yes. So as it records your screen capture, it does also record your audio. So if you look here, you have microphone audio. And you get a little green squiggly line whenever it's picking up sound. If you do not want microphone audio, you can just simply turn that option off. But since usually when you do screen captures, it's for the purpose of explaining something. right? We typically leave that microphone audio on. So notice also you have the same options as capturing your full desktop. So if you're going to be jumping between tabs, then you want to be able to do a full desktop. Now, up top here, you have the options of doing screen plus camera, or screen only, or camera only. So if you're just doing a video introduction, for example, and you don't necessarily need to have the background of your desktop going on, then you can utilize Loom to do that as well. So let's look at the screen and cam option. I'm going to do the full desktop. My audio is on, but we have this option here that says show advanced option. So let's see what we have underneath our advanced options. And this is in case if you plug in an external camera, for example, or an external microphone, then you can use the advanced options to select any external devices that you plug in, maybe to enhance quality. You can use photo for screen only, or not. You can eliminate the recording countdown. So you have these other features that you can enable or disable. So I'm going to go ahead and start this recording. So then here again, I have the opportunity to share my entire screen or an application window. I'm going to share. And then I have a countdown. Okay. So I'm demonstrating Loom. I'm going to go over some of the other features here. If you look, when I scroll over top of my camera icon, I can actually choose the size of the camera. So if I want to be more of the focus due to whatever part of the demonstration that I'm trying to counter, or whatever my goal is, if I want to be front and center like now, then that is an option. Then I can choose to move that down. And then I also can click and drag this to be in a different location. So if it's covering up information that maybe I want visible, I can always be in the move to make sure that I'm out of the way. Then whenever I'm done, well, maybe I don't want to be on the camera anymore. I can just exit out of it entirely, and then I can just go on and continue to record without the camera feature being enabled. And I can also take the menu and go back to the camera settings, cancel the recording, or I can pause it and right in the middle and then come back and push play and finish, or I can just finish the recording in its entirety. Whenever you're finished with the recording, it takes you back to where you can copy and share the link. Now this link currently is only sourced in Loom. So it's in their servers, it's at loom.com. It's going to be in my videos, which was the landing page that we had at the first part. You can add passwords, so you can password protect these videos if you choose to. Notice you have options here where it's link sharing, so only people with the link can see your video. Or you can make it public. You can invite specific people to watch the video. Of course, you can copy and paste this in your Google Classroom, or you can copy and paste it in your email. Or a text message in Remind, for example. You can also edit your video. So you can trim it if you want to cut some out, you can create custom thumbnails if you want an image instead of maybe the video or a short screenshot of the video instead of that. You can change those. You can go into the settings and you can look and see what options you can give. So you can allow comments to be made on the video. You can get email notifications of those comments. You can allow emoji reactions to those videos, animated thumbnails, You can use the Loom branded player, which is what we are doing now. You can allow viewers to download the video for their own keeping. And you can also show analytics to the viewers so that they can see how many people have actually seen your video recorded. Here we have a call to action button. So here is if you want to create a call to action button would be like if you want to direct them to another website. Or if you wanted them to perform some kind of, maybe you wanted to include maybe a URL for a Google form or something of that nature. You can also here download this. So if I downloaded this video, it's going to come down as download complete. Okay, so I'm demonstrating Loom, and then I'm going to have it in my file folder. Now I have Google Drive as my default downloading. And if you see here, I have my Loom video saved in my drive. So now this video is in my drive, which means I can share it out just like I can any other document that's available in my drive as well. You duplicate, delete, and then you click share. It gives you these options where you can directly email, you can embed this video, and you can also recopy the link.
There was a question on time limits.
Time limit on Zoom is 45 minutes.
Miranda said there wasn't a time limit, but I believe there is.
Maybe the pro session that given to us for free as a verified educator and student, there may not be time limits. So it's a good point. Even if the time limit is 45 minutes, I find it hard to believe that anybody would require more time.
But you also want to talk about bandwidth and file size if you record long videos.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the longer the video, the more bandwidth, the more processing time, the larger the file, right? So if you create a 45-minute video, then do not expect that video to be readily available and accessible because it will have to process, especially if you are trying to download it and save it into your Google Drive because it will have to upload and then Drive will have to process that video. So you're looking at making sure you have made time to allow that process to take place. And that could take anywhere to up to an hour. Okay, so let's take a look. That was from the Loom, from loom.com when you start a video. Let's take a look and see what it looks like when you click on the extension. So when you click on the extension, you actually have to be on a site that will allow you to record. So let's do that.
Does say there's no limitation on recording.
That's good. So no limitations on recording. Thank you for the verification. So notice that whenever I click on the extension, it automatically gives me the tools and the menu and the controls that I received whenever I visited the website and clicked Start Video. Another question?
I was just saying there is a limit on the free version of how many videos you can have.
Okay. So if we don't have any more questions, that is our session for today, which include Google. Actually, I apologize. There was something that I wanted to introduce that I've personally never tried before, but I've had a lot of people ask questions about.
I do have one question going back to Google Meet.
And then this concerns Google Meet as well.
The question was, let me pull it up so I can read it correctly. Can students still meet with each other after a teacher has ended the meeting?
No. If you create the Google Meet and you end the Google Meet session, then that particular Google Meet session has ended. So I've had a lot of questions about breakout rooms in Google Meet, and there is a Chrome extension that supports this, but I personally have not had the opportunity to try this. So I figured we could all try this together and see how this works. So if I go to the Chrome Web Store and I look for Google Meet Breakout, here's the breakout room extension. I'm going to add this to Chrome. Add extension. Okay, now it says I have it. So let's jump back over into my meetings. I'm going to pin this so that I have access to it. All right, so I've hit this breakout room. Broadcast to all rooms, gives your meet account, start class with Google Meet. So I'm going to close out of this existing Meet just to give this a shot.
What did you say the name of the extension was?
It's called Breakout, Google Meet Breakout, and it has this beep. So it looks like you may have to start the Meet from the breakout itself. Start class with Google Meet. You have open main room. Like I said, folks, this is the first time I've even looked at this. So it may need to be, let's start class with Google Classroom. Okay, so it looks like you can add your automatically generated Google Classroom link here. Okay, so I want to, so here's me, here's the rooms.
Joshua Hannah says you set them up, with breakout rooms, you set them up in the rooms before you use them, and you set them up in the extension.
Okay. So you do have to organize it all in the actual breakout room itself. And this looks a little more complicated than I anticipated. This is just a perfect example of how sometimes we just have to dive in and try things, right? So there's always going to be updates, there's always going to be opportunities to learn and expand. I know that there's going to be a release and an update inside of Google Meet by Google that will allow Google to have the raise hand feature, the integrated whiteboard, and the breakout rooms, but there's no release date currently on that. And some of these extensions do allow more functionality inside of it, but it's going to have to, even I'm going to have to take some time out to look at how this really works.
We do have a question. Google Meet versus GoGuardian video conferencing.
Sure.
Advantages, disadvantages. How would you
Of
evaluate
course.
the two? Which one would you go with?
The GoGuardian video conferencing is brand new. So it was in beta, so that just means testing, and at the end of July, and then it was just released in the first week of August. So we had our Go Guardian training set up. So it's just kind of open. And what I did participate in that training, and I saw what it could do and the potential advantages of it. And the things that stuck out to me, like just right off, is that there's no video conferencing time creations. There's no links to click on or follow. But what you have to remember, though, especially if you have a group of distance learners, is that GoGuardian is a force-installed extension on district-provided devices. So that GoGuardian conferencing will not work, and GoGuardian will not work if a student is on a personal device. So you may have to be flexible and be aware that if a student's not in your GoGuardian session, then it may be because that student is on a different device. And if that's the case, then you may have to have Google Meet available and accessible at its time. So that would definitely be one of the downfalls currently in the arrangement that we have, is that GoGuardian is installed, force installed and managed and accessible only on district provided devices. So that would be one of the downfalls of the video conferencing. I know that we are providing Chromebooks to all of our students, and we're making the option available to all of our students to grab a Chromebook, but that still does not mean that that student doesn't have an at-home device that they will use instead. So that's something to be conscious of. The Google Meet advantage is that it is a classroom, it is static, it is flexible. There's opportunities. I mean, the recording features are there in both of them. You can select individual students in conference and GoGuardian, so that's an advantage. I see advantages to both, honestly, and if I were still in the classroom, I would probably utilize both. I could see myself using Google Meet as whole classroom instruction or whole classroom opportunities for instruction, and then utilizing the GoGuardian for more of an individualized approach.
With Google Meet and screen sharing, can students screen share without your permission? Like they can just click screen share and their screen will come up?
I think that students can screen share and share their screen. I know that that's one of the issues. Unfortunately, that is not one of the control options that we have at the Google inside of the Google admin console and the app controls that we have, is that we can control who records, but we cannot control the presentational options.
Something to be aware of if they're on their personal device.
So yes, it is.
We don't have.
Now you can turn off that student screen and you can remove them from the Meet. And I would have, I would explain my classroom management expectations and have Google Meet expectations clear to the student, and I would have some type of punishment or disciplinary response to that kind of action.
Is there any way in the chat, is there anyone that has used, they're talking about using the breakouts from the breakout session, Google Meet, and whether you can monitor a room simultaneously. And the answer was, usually you have to.
I think you go to each one separately.
You can cycle through them.
Yeah, you cycle through. So I mean,
that was the answer.
And if you go to the web store, I noticed there was a YouTube video in the Meet breakout rooms. So right here, and I'm sure that gives you a brief overview and demonstration of what that looks like. So if you're interested in the Meet breakout rooms and willing to put forth that effort into learning how to use it, then I'm sure there's some tutorials available.
Someone was asking if there'd be training of breakouts, and I just said we'll have more training.
We will continuously have training as far as when and where where a Google Meet breakout room training would take place, well, it's still undecided at this moment.
We can put those kind of tutorials up in the Hendry class.
Sure, we can provide any tutorials that we have and any videos of tutorials that we have and find of the Google Meet breakout rooms inside of the Tech for Teachers Google Classroom.
And I'm posting that link now.
And Michelle's going to post that link in the chat. Don't forget to also sign in for your PD hours. And that link will also be available in there as well. And if you happen to miss the sign-in opportunity for another class, you can fill that form out more than once. Just put in the name of the other session that perhaps maybe you missed, the sign-in link for, put in the name of the session, and then just resubmit that form. Okay, we are all out of time.
Elementary has IXL.
So that is all of the Teacher Tech Live PD that we have scheduled for today.
More next week.
We do have, since we had to reschedule so much for this week due to impromptu meetings and emergency meetings, we have rescheduled a majority of those for Monday, and those are updated in the calendar that Ms. Brown has sent out. So Monday we will have additional trainings. This afternoon, IXL will be providing training for elementary grade levels, and I believe we have one middle school also interested in that as well.
And Remind.
And then on Friday the 21st, we will have our teacher training for Remind. And that will be at 11 a.m. and we will send an updated invitation for that as well. So thank you all very much.